What's the story, Morning Glory? What's the word, Hummingbird? Thank you so much for clicking on my channel and for joining me for this really quick conversation about the Real Housewives of Atlanta, whatever season this is. I have watched every single episode. I'm not reviewing it. I stopped reviewing Housewives, all the Housewives, because at some point it was just too much. I felt like they were releasing more than one franchise within the same time period, and it was just too much for me to keep up with. But I do watch all of them at my own time. So the Real Housewives of Atlanta, let's talk about it. It's interesting. Okay, it's very interesting. I want to start off by talking about Portia. So Portia, this is her comeback season. She was not there last season, and she was off getting married to Simon, and we know the backstory of that. The stories that she had stolen Simon away from Fallon, or was cheating with Simon when he was still married to Fallon, or however that goes. I don't know what the real details of it are. I do see that there was some overlapping in the relationships. Like, it seems like Simon was still married to Fallon when Portia and Simon probably had started talking, and then he leaves Fallon for Portia. Okay, so we know the backstory to that. It seems like in the beginning people were really, really upset with Portia for doing that, because she acted as if her and Fallon were, at the very, 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 very minimum, friendly co-workers. Okay, maybe they were not BFFs talking on the phone into the wee hours of the morning and confiding all of their deepest, darkest secrets to one another, but at the very minimum, they're very friendly co-workers with one another. And you just don't do that to another cast member, have an affair with their husband and then end up marrying said husband. So there was a lot of backlash towards Portia regarding that. And then I remember soon after that, she had her own spinoff, if I can remember correctly, because I think her spinoff had to deal with her relationship with Simon, because they were posting pictures of her, Simon, and Dennis together. So I think it was before she actually got married to Simon. I think they were engaged at that time when she had her own spinoff. Now, my issues with Portia is that she's so guarded with who she really is and with what's really going on with her. She's so super guarded. She's so guarded to the point to the point where not only is she careful with how she presents herself, but she also controls how other people present her, how other people talk about her on these shows. Because I remember on her spinoff, Dennis was there, Simon was there, her sister, her mom were there. She had other relatives that were there. She would she would tell other cast members who were her friends and family, she would tell them what to talk about, what not to talk about when it came to her. And that's just very strange to me. You're on a reality TV show and you don't want to show any of your own reality. You don't want to show any of your own reality. And I don't know if it's because she was made fun of a lot when she first got on the Real Housewives of Atlanta. She was presented as being kind of ditzy. She was presented as being like a very passive, subservient wife to her then husband when she was married to that football player. She kind of came off like, oh girl, you're so naive and you're so impressionable, and your husband's running circles around you, and your husband's lying to you and manipulating you, and you have no idea. And then the whole Underground Railroad thing. So Portia has gotten a very bad rap for many years, and maybe that's why she's so guarded with how she comes across. I don't know, but I don't think we have ever gotten to know the real Portia. So in this season of Real Housewives of Atlanta, she's going through her divorce with Simon. She's not allowed to feel. She's not allowed to film in the home that she shared with Simon, because he sent a cease and desist to Bravo saying that he is not allowing any filming of his home on this show. And I'm pretty sure that he also sent a cease and desist to Portia, for Portia to not talk about him or their marriage at all. And I think that's why she's not saying anything about it. People are like, she needs to talk about her marriage and what happened with her marriage. She's so busy with other people's relationships. Why isn't she talking about her own? I don't think she's allowed to talk about her own. I don't think she's even allowed to talk about them. Obviously, she's not going to address how her and Simon got together, whether Simon wants her or doesn't want her to talk about their relationship. Regardless of that, whether there is a cease and desist, she will not talk about how her and Simon met. I know that she will never talk about that. But everything else regarding her marriage, I don't think she can talk about it. Um, So I don't really fault her for that. People are like, hey, Portia, you need to talk about what's going on with you. I don't think she can talk about what's going on with her and Simon. Um, the thing that's bothering me the most right now about Portia is this really fake beef that she is trying to have with Drew. It doesn't make any sense to me. First of all, to me, Drew is a non-issue. I'm surprised that Drew has lasted this long on the Real Housewives of Atlanta. Like, who is wanting Drew back season after season? To me, Drew is just as guarded about her real life as Portia is. There's like no difference. But the only thing about Drew is that she adds the element of lying to cover up who she really is and what's really going on with her. Drew, to me, is damn near a pathological liar, the way she lies so easily, so freely, and so unnecessarily. Like when she said she was related to, who did she say she was related to? She said she was cousins with Michael Jordan or something. And then the girls were like, girl, you are not Michael Jordan's cousin. Like, you don't know what the hell to believe with Drew. I think Drew and Ralph are made for each other, but I'm getting too much into Drew. Let me stick to Portia. Okay, so Portia to me is very guarded. She doesn't want her real life to come forward. She's so worried about her image and how she's coming across. The fact that she's trying to create this fake beef with Drew is stupid. If you don't have a storyline, then you don't have a storyline. You can't talk about your divorce and your marriage. You don't make up stuff just for the sake of television, because it just comes across as very, very insincere. Her acting like she's really pissed off at Drew because Drew did not get permission from her to film or to, work with Dennis. That is so bizarre to me. I don't understand it. Why should anybody go to Portia and get permission from Portia to work with Dennis? Her and Dennis are not married, were never married. He just impregnated her. He could have impregnated any damn body. Like, you have a baby with him. Like, so the hell what? You have a kid with him. So what? Um, why does that give you permission, or why does that give you authority to control every aspect of his life? That to the point where people have to come to you and like you're the godfather or something, and come to you and kiss your hand and ask you for permission to film with the father of your child. That to me is so crazy and bizarre. Dennis can do whatever the hell he wants to do. Drew can do whatever the hell she wants. If they want to work together, they can work together. Nobody has to run anything by Portia. And what really aggravated me the most was Cynthia, because Cynthia is seen, she comes across, not necessarily to me, but to majority of the viewers. Cynthia has this reputation of being the sensible one, the calm one, the reasonable one. She might be sensible and reasonable to everybody else, but Cynthia does not know how to pick a man. But that's a whole nother situation. So I don't hold a lot of credence with Cynthia and her way of thinking, and I for sure as hell didn't care for how she agreed with Portia, because Cynthia says, well, if anybody wanted to work with Leon, who was never her husband, who was her boyfriend and then her baby daddy, if anybody wanted to work with Leon, they're going to have to, come see me first. Excuse me? Leon is a very booked and busy actor. So you're saying all these people that want, and maybe what they mean is if anybody within the friend group, which to me, I don't even think it should be, I don't even believe in that. If anybody within the friend group wanted to work with their exes, I don't think they have to ask for permission. That doesn't make any sense. So what if Portia would have told Drew, no, I don't want you to work with Dennis? So then she has to miss out on her business opportunity. That doesn't make any sense to me. Now, you can casually mention if you want to, which I don't even feel like you have to. You can casually mention, oh, by the way, me and Simon, or me and Dennis are working together, if you wanted to. But I think with me, if I'm no longer with that person, and yes, we are co-parenting, if I'm no longer with that person, common courtesy would say, yes, run it by your baby mama. Let her know that you are working with one of her castmates. That's like the decent thing. But if he didn't, I'm not gonna get all like create beef with the person he's doing business with. So if I was Portia and neither one of them came to me and told me, just mentioned to me, not even asking me permission, but they didn't even mention to me that they're working together, I'm not gonna all of a sudden, create beef with Drew and then threaten Dennis to not seeing his daughter because he's working with Drew and didn't tell me about it. Like, I don't understand that way of thinking. I would think that Portia has much more important things to worry about, has better things to do than to be concerned with Drew, non-issue Sedora, and Dennis. Okay, so that whole thing between her and Drew to me is ridiculous. When they go out to this to go celebrate Portia's birthday, and Portia's trying to ice out Drew, but Angela invited Drew anyway, and so Portia, she's giving Drew the cold shoulder, and Drew is like, I've extended the olive branch many times, and you're just not receiving it, so I'm out of here. So then she ended up leaving. I don't even know why Drew would even show up to a woman's birthday party that this woman doesn't like you or is creating fake beef with you just for a storyline, and that beef is centering around the man who is helping you with your career. Why you would even show up to this, I don't know. I don't know why she took Angela up on that invitation. Angela was crazy for inviting Drew, and Drew was crazy for showing up. I would have respectfully declined. I don't know why you want to be in a hostile environment like that. And the way that the other girls are like rallying around Portia, like, she's the Queen of England or something. I don't understand that at all. Kelly, Shamia, what's that other girl's name? The one that got into it with Kenya, I forgot her name. Um, Britt. All of these girls are rallying around Portia, and you're going to be the odd one out with Angela. But Angela, I don't know if she's flip flopping or what. I don't even know why Drew showed up. So when they're out celebrating Portia's birthday, and they're at the Airbnb, and it was after hours, production had left, and Angela said that she was up snooping, and she had overheard, or somebody overheard, Portia say that she would sleep with Charles Barkley. I mean, not Charles Barkley, Charles Oakley, which is Angela's husband. So I'm like, Portia, why in the world? You already have a reputation now of taking other people's husbands. Why would you say something like that? And if I was Angela, I would be extremely worried, because Portia shows that she can and she will take your man. I would be very worried if I was Angela. Why would Portia say something like that? Like, if you're a known thief, you're not going to broadcast to the whole world, oh yeah, if I could, I would steal that. That's just insane. I can't believe that Portia said that. So Portia, to me, I look at her very strangely, because I don't understand why she does the things that she does. Um, Taking Simon from Fallon, saying that she will sleep with Charles Oakley, getting upset with Dennis and Drew filming, threatening Dennis with his daughter if he continues to film with Drew. And then she found out that they were still continuing to film. And then she wanted to give Drew the cold shoulder at her birthday thing. Why are you making Drew such a big deal in your life, Portia? Like, why are you making this woman the center of your life? To me, Drew is such a non-issue. Anywho, Shamia. So Shamia, this was also supposed to be the season for her, because for many years she's always been the friend of. She's very good friends with Portia, very good friends with Candy and the other girls. So we've known Shamia for years, right? Shamia can stand. She can, she can do well for herself. She does really well by herself. So what I'm seeing so far, though, is that Shamia, even though she finally got her peach, so she's one of the girls now. She has the center peach. So she's supposed to be the anchor holding this show down, but she still is coming off as friend of. We were very impressed in the beginning with her house, how successful her and her husband are. We got to know her family a little bit better, find out what's going on with her kids, bless their hearts. But she's still very much coming across as still friend of. She's still running around like a little lap dog, running around after Portia, making sure everything is good with Portia. Is Portia okay? Does Portia have everything she? It's still giving that to me with Shamia. It's like, girl, you have the center peach. They should be running around, chasing you. Portia should be making sure that you're good, not the other way around. Like, I don't understand why Shamia has this thing where she doesn't realize how underappreciated she is by Portia. Because Portia has been shading Shamia since episode 1. Because episode 1 started with, I think Shamia, was it her birthday that she was having at her big mansion? And right before her husband was about to present her with, the big gift, which was her car, which is like a $500,000 car, that's when Portia decides to show up at the party and takes the spotlight completely away from Shamia. And Shamia said nothing about that. And then when they were at the vault and Shamia was playing her song for the girls, Portia was adamant about, oh, that's not you, that's Drew. That's not you. How could you not know your best friend's voice from Drew non-issue Sedora? How could you not know the difference? And like, Shamia, do you not see how this woman is constantly shading you? And obviously she's shading Shamia because she's very jealous of Shamia. Everybody's talking about how Portia really wanted Shamia's life because Shamia is that girl. And that's why she ended up with Simon, because Shamia is married to an African. So Portia found her an African, even though that African belonged to somebody else. Portia found herself an African, and she thought that she was going to live the life of Shamia, or even better than Shamia. Come to find out, she got by Simon because he's nothing but a scam artist. Nothing is real, just smoke and mirrors. And so now she's out here floundering around trying to, throw shade at her best friend because it's her friend that she's so extremely, it's, to me, it's like obvious that she's so extremely jealous of Shamia. And Shamia probably knows it, but she's probably one of those girls that's like, oh, I know Portia might be jealous of me, but that's still my girl. I'm going to still be there for her. You don't want to be too close to people like that. You don't want to give them too much access to you. People who are envious and jealous of you. You don't want to give them too much access, because the little shade that she throws to Shamia is, it's like Shamia, that's a red flag. That's a huge red flag. Stop caping for this girl. Stop, like, anyways, this is supposed to be your season, Shamia. You're no longer friend of, but you're very much given like Portia has the center peach and you're still the friend of. Not even a cast member, just a friend of. Shamia and her husband and these kids. Okay, so Shamia has two daughters and they both have, medical needs, right? The youngest more so than the oldest, because the youngest was born prematurely because the surrogate that she used ended up getting cancer while she was pregnant with Shamia's child, and they had to deliver the baby early, so the baby was born premature. And so she does have some medical problems. And so they've been dealing with that. Now, she still wants to have another child, at least one more, because her husband really wants a son. That to me is problematic. Now, Shamia's life is proof that you can have it all and still have big problems. Okay, she's got the wonderful life, she's got the beautiful children, she's beautiful herself, her husband's very successful, etc., etc. Everybody, wants Shamia's life, but she's married to a man. Shamia herself is unable, for whatever reason, to carry her own children, so they use surrogates. And the last surrogate that they used, there was an issue with that whole situation there. So the fact that her husband is like, no, we're going to keep trying. We're going to keep trying because I have to have a boy. That to me, y'all, that's, I understand it, but if someone that I was close to was like that, like, you know what, I got 3 kids, I got 4 kids, whatever, but they're all the same gender, I really have to have a boy, or I really have to have a girl. I don't vibe with that mentality. I know that gender disappointment is real. I understand that. I totally get it. But if you want to have another child, have another child for the sake of having another child. But to be very like, we're going to keep trying until I get the gender that I want, I don't think that's very healthy. I don't think that's very healthy. We're going to keep trying. We're going to have 5, 6, 7, 8, 10, 11 children until I get the gender that I want. Children are their own people. If you're imagining you're going to have this rough and tumble little boy who's going to want to play sports, who's going to want to follow in your footsteps, you might not get that. Okay, you might get a child wants nothing to do with whatever the hell you got going on, who doesn't want to be like you at all. So children are their own people. They are going to be who they're going to be, regardless of what you want. They're going to be who they want to be. So it doesn't really matter. You may have a daughter who really wants to follow in your footsteps and who really wants to emulate you, and who thinks that the sun rises and sets around you, and a son who could care less with what you're doing, doesn't want nothing to do with you. I don't know. I don't get it because children are their own people. You don't know what you're going to get. You don't know how they're going to come out, how they're going to end up. You have no idea. So wanting this, you're basically chasing a fantasy. Okay. Kenya. Okay. Kenya was the star that quickly fizzled out. So Kenya, Kenya brings the drama. Kenya loves the attention. Kenya will do whatever she's got to do to get the attention to make sure that the spotlight stays on her. So she starts off by shading Britt. Let me write her name down because I keep forgetting her name. She starts off by shading Britt in the very first episode because, saying something about Britt's her wedding ring, talking about, oh, is that your second ring? Is this your second marriage? How many husbands do you got, girl? And Britt was like, no, I only have one husband, blah, blah, blah. Whatever the situation was, that was silly. So I guess that's what kind of started the beef between Kenya and Britt. I don't know. Maybe that's where it started. So Britt kept on picking on Kenya, feeling like she was really going to puff up her chest by going after Kenya and really proving to Kenya who she is. Well, Kenya got the get back and got the get back so good that she ended up destroying herself because Kenya's no longer on the show. So Kenya felt like when they were at the vault event that Britt had threatened to harm her with a weapon. And the way that I took it was, this is what they do. To me, I didn't take it that seriously, but then I have to remember what Kenya has been through, not necessarily with her estranged husband Mark, but remember Kenya had a very crazy stalking boyfriend. I forgot his name, and he was showing up at her place. He was stalking her basically, and he wouldn't let her go, and he would pop up at her place uninvited, and she was really scared of this man. So maybe Kenya still has some PTSD from that situation, and that's why when she heard Britt threaten her, she was going to take it very seriously. She's got the right to feel however she wants to feel about that. A lot of people were like, Kenya, that girl was not serious. She was just talking mess. You should not have felt threatened by what she said. No, we can't tell someone else how they should or shouldn't feel when someone says something that could be taken as threatening. She felt the way she felt, but her reaction to that was uncalled for. So Kenya decides at her own event, when she's doing a soft launch for her hair salon, she decides at that moment to bring those very explicit poster board pictures of Britt in very compromising situation. And that was, to me, not good. It was going a little bit too far. And from what I hear, I don't know if this is true or not, but the internet streets are saying that Britt filed a lawsuit against everybody, Bravo, Kenya, everybody, the whole shebang. And there was a settlement. They had to pay her money because, what Kenya did was uncalled for. It was bad. And I can't believe that Kenya did that. And I was wondering, as many other people were wondering, like, didn't production know that Kenya was about to do that? Because those poster boards were pretty big. And didn't they see them? I don't know. I don't know. I have no idea how. I don't know. Maybe they did. Maybe they did. I don't know. But I felt bad for Kenya because she destroyed herself. She sabotaged herself. Now, I don't know how her salon is doing, but if she's not on the show to constantly promote it, I don't think it's doing well. And she's no longer on the show. So it's like, Kenya. And then Cynthia saying that if Kenya would have talked to me about this beforehand, I would have persuaded her not to do this. Kenya went too far. I think Kenya went too far. I don't think that was the proper, what Kenya should have done. She should have done nothing at all and just went straight to the executives of Bravo and been like, hey, this woman threatened me. What are y'all going to do about it before I file my lawsuit? That's how she should have handled it. Take that threat, run with it, and get some money out of it and get the girl off the show. That's how she should have handled it. And she should have just kept herself, peaceful and cool and collected, and not be very reactionary, and just shade her the way you would shade anybody else on this show. Ice her out. Don't invite her to functions and events. Don't speak to her. Don't say hi to her. Don't give her the hugs that she's so desperately seeking from you. Yeah. So I don't understand why Kenya did that. Kenya, she really did herself a lot of damage by doing that. But onward, upward, and onward. Angela, the one who's married to Charles Oakley. I like Angela. Okay. I like Angela. I can tolerate Angela. I think she's being very, very vulnerable by, talking about her family. And I think Charles Oakley is a lot. I think he's a lot. Some people do not need to be on a reality TV show because we're seeing way too much of how they really are, and it's it's turning off fans. I remember Charles Oakley from the days when he was playing basketball for the New York Knicks, and I remember liking Charles Oakley because he was such a bad boy on the court. And now that I'm seeing him in like his natural element, with his wife and his family, it's like, ooh, Charles Oakley is a lot. He's kind of mean and intimidating. And I don't know how Angela puts up with it. I don't know how Angela can live with a man like that. Like someone who's just like grumpy and just says whatever the hell he wants to say. He's got no couth and no filter, no nothing. He told her your wig is slipping. You got to do something about it. I was like, damn. Oh my God. So I was just like, yeah, Charles Oakley to me, he's a lot. So we saw the scene where she went out to dinner with her daughter, and she found out that her daughter has been married for 4 months, and her daughter never told her. And that just said a whole lot about that relationship. Like, why wouldn't you tell your mom that you're getting married? Like maybe, okay, you don't want them there at your wedding. You want it just to be between you and your husband, and that's it. I get it. You don't want a whole bunch of people. You don't want a whole bunch of fanfare. But why wouldn't you even mention it either right before or right after you got married? So 4 months go by, and her mom is just finding out that she's married. And the girl was just basically like, really had no good reason. Like it really wasn't explained properly of why she didn't want her mom at her wedding and didn't want her mom to know that she was married for 4 whole months. So your mom doesn't come over to your house and see like men's clothes there and your husband. Like I don't understand how you can hide that for 4 months from your mother. Like I don't get it. Evidently there's some issues with her and her daughter and her mom. I don't know what's going on there, but Angela to me is transparent and she's very interesting and she's taken the side kind of like against Brit. Okay, so Brit is very strange to me. So I'm wondering, I'm still trying to figure out, was her husband in an accident? Because the way he talks and the way he moves, very controlled, very slow. I'm thinking, was this man in an accident or something? So Brit and her husband, they don't have any children. Britt says she's an insurance agent, not insurance, real estate or insurance, something like that. Anywho, when she showed up at the tea party that Kelly hosted and told the girls that her job let her go or she lost her license or something, or her license is under review because of what Kenya did. And Angela asked Britt, well, why would your license be under review when you didn't do anything wrong? That I didn't understand. I'm like, Britt, what's really going on? Why is your license under review when you were the victim of Kenya's attack? That didn't make no sense to me. And the way that Britt reacted to Angela's question, which was very hostile, like very defensive. And I didn't understand that at all. Britt is someone that you got to keep your good eye on her because she's like, she's going to do the bait and switch on you. Okay. She's going to think that she can pull the wool over your eyes and trick you and do her little hocus pocus from you seeing the reality of what's really going on. Drew non-issue Sadora. Like I said, I'm surprised that Drew has lasted this long. So Drew is going through a divorce with Ralph, and they are still living in the same home, except that Ralph is living in the basement and she's living in the main house. And so they're trying to co-parent that way. I don't know what lawyer or judge thinks that this is a good idea. That this was the best solution to have two people who cannot stand each other still reside at the same residence, even though he's in the basement. The basement is decked out. Okay, the basement looks really, 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 really good. Um, so he's living in comfort. Okay, he's definitely living in comfort. So they have their days when they can spend time with their kids. So if it's Ralph's turn, he comes up from the underground to spend time with the children, but then Drew has to leave. And then when Drew is there spending time with the kids, he has to go back into his hole. So that to me seems very stressful. I think it's very weird for the children to see dad, going back down underneath the house and they can't see him again for a week. That's just strange to me. I don't know how this is a good idea to anybody. I don't know what lawyer drew this up and why this was approved by any court. That yes, y'all are going to be forced to live in the same residence. Y'all are going to share custody of the children, but you're going to be living underneath the house. You're going to be living in the house. And that's just strange. That's so strange to me. I don't get it. I think Ralph is problematic because let's not forget how he was seeing other women when he was married to Drew, how he was running off, didn't tell her where the hell he was going. Like that one time when he took off to Florida and she had no idea where this man was. And then after a few days, he comes back and she's like, "Where have you been? I've been trying to call you." He's like, "Oh, I've been in Florida." "Why? What are you doing in Florida?" Didn't tell her, didn't want to tell her. Very sneaky, very, very, very sneaky. I do see him as a narcissist. He's very manipulative, but then Drew's a liar. Drew's like I said, borderline pathological liar. You cannot believe anything that comes out of Drew. Drew is also very guarded with her life. She doesn't want to reveal anything about herself that can paint her in a negative light. And it's like, girl, we're human. Okay, we're gonna fail, we're gonna fall, we're gonna make mistakes, we're gonna mess up. Drew is like one of those people, she doesn't want to show any of her vulnerabilities. She doesn't want to show that she's made a mistake or she could have made a mistake in any part of her life. She wants to be perfect. She wants to be the victim. Everybody's doing her wrong. She's not doing anybody else wrong. And then that's why I feel like Drew and Portia don't give much to the show because we don't know who they really are. Drew to me, I don't know why she's on this show. I don't know what she's contributing. Portia is trying to ice her out. Nobody else really cares whether she's there or not. She shows up. She says the most awkward, strange things. Her singing career, on the other hand, she's good at that. Drew is a great singer. I hear that the album that what's his name, not Simon, that Dennis produced. I hear that it's a really good album. Whatever, maybe it is. I have no idea. So maybe she needs to concentrate more on her music. But then again, I guess she needs the show to promote her music because we wouldn't know anything about her music if she wasn't on this show. So that's fine, whatever. But to me, she's just a non-issue. She's a very successful actress, entertainer, etc., etc. All those other areas of her life, her professional life, is great. But her as a Atlanta housewife, I just don't understand why she's there and what she's giving to the show. When they did the scene where they went to Kelly's charity event, and Kelly called her out for not donating or not buying anything because all proceeds or whatever was bought was going to go to the charity that Kelly represents. And Drew lied about, like, why would you lie about that, Drew? Why couldn't you just say, "I ain't got it this month, girl. I'm sorry. I'm going through this divorce. I'm paying my lawyers. This man wants child support from me. He wants alimony from me. Girl, I just don't got it. I showed up to support, but girl, I couldn't afford it." Or just buy like a belt or something, a cufflink, girl, something. But she lied about buying something when she really didn't buy anything. Like, I don't understand. Drew lies just unnecessarily. If I had the time, I could probably think about 5 or 10 more lies that Drew has said unnecessarily, but I ain't got the time. Moving on to Kelly. The only thing about Kelly that really sticks out for me are her outfits. Wow, that girl's got body. And she's going to make you know that she's got body because Kelly is barely dressed in any of her scenes. When they were celebrating Portia's birthday and they were going to the honky tonk bars or whatever the hell, she was almost naked. The girl had hardly anything on, and she's a mother of 4 girls. Okay, she's a mother of 4 daughters. I just expected differently from her. Okay, I don't want to shame the woman. I just expected something a little bit differently from her. Every time they go out to an event, things are just busting out everywhere. Okay, she wears the tightest, smallest thing that she can possibly find, and y'all, there's Kelly's just busting out everywhere. So I think that's about it. So I mean, the season so far, it's whatever, as it always is. I don't know if I'm gonna come back here on a weekly basis to talk about Atlanta or just whenever the mood strikes me. But Atlanta is one of those shows, just like Married to Medicine. It was really difficult for me to watch Married to Medicine. Very, very difficult. I'm so glad that I didn't commit to reviewing it because I wouldn't have been able to hang on. I have to be in a certain mindset to watch The Housewives of any franchise because the women piss me off so much. I have to be in a really good mood, stress free, anxiety free, to really enjoy The Housewives or to really pay attention, because otherwise they get me extremely upset. It get me so upset. So I'm definitely going to come back and talk about Married to Medicine because I had a lot to say about that, even though the season's been over for a while. There's some things that I got to get off my chest. So if I have the time, I'll go ahead and do that. But thank you so much for joining me. I really do appreciate it. On your way out, please don't forget to rate the video if you like this content, subscribe to my channel, and I'll definitely talk to you later.